Good afternoon. I'm going to call the August 21st meeting of the Budget Advisory Committee to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Chair Bergman.
Here.
Ms. Hall. Here. Ms. Hale. Here. Ms. McKinney. Here. And Mr. Samarkis. I have not heard from him, so I'm not sure.
Okay, we're going to start with new business. I'm going to ask Ron to do a budget update.
I'm getting there. Okay, we're still working on the budget. 5-6 months later. Just briefly, stuff you already know, but the city manager met with department heads. The budget committee here met with all the department heads. We had the budget public hearing survey was on June 17th. And we had 2 budget workshops with the board on July 15th and July 29th. And also the next day on July 30th, we had a separate budget work session on the pay study. The item still being worked on is the compensation or pay study, the stormwater revenue sufficiency study, and the water and sewer revenue sufficiency study. They're getting close to being done. We're planning on the stormwater and the water and sewer revenue sufficiency studies going before the board on September 9th for readings on the rate increases. This is the budget as it currently is, comparing 2026 to 2025. And as you can see in the top left, the budget is $120,994,611. Now, it's a sizable difference from the previous year. I'll probably be mentioning a lot, but there's $37 million worth of capital in the budget. I went back 5 years. We've usually averaged about $12 million of capital every year, from a low of $8 million to a high about $13 million. And off to the right there, it shows that the main capital project, we got $17 million in water and sewer fund, $7.3 million in the penny fund. In the CRA fund, we have almost $3 million. Stormwater fund, we have $3.5 million of capital. And then we have the new golf course clubhouse at $4.2 million. And just to try to compare the same numbers, budget from 25 to 26, there's a total budget of $120 million, but highlighted there's the capital of $37,100,000. And down below it shows in the graph that capital outlay is 30% of that budget. In prior years, it's usually run between 14 and 15% of the budget.
Make a donation now.
I put together just a slide to break out that $37 million of capital for 2026. And as you can see, the water and sewers is $17 million. Stormwater is $3.5 million. Streets paved and brick are $3.6 million. Sidewalks, $400,000. Public safety, $1.8 million. Golf course clubhouse, $4.2 million. Culture and recreation, $1.4 million. And transportation water, that is a combination of $3.6 million for the Craig Park Seawall Phase 1 construction and $464,000 for design work for the Bayou dredging. And a little bit more detail on the projects. These are all the public safety projects for the 5 years, 2026 to 2030, $9.1 million. As you can see, it's police and fire items that they're needing over those 5 years. In blue, I've got that in blue up there because that's a reserve for the fire trucks. Like the first one at $400,000 a year. We just got approved to purchase a fire truck. It takes 4 years to get them. So our plan was to reserve the money aside in the penny fund for that fire truck, the ladder truck. So when we get it in 2029, we've got the $1.6 million to pay for it. In the past, we've been leasing these fire trucks, so we're going to make an effort to try to reserve the money aside, which the financing helps make us accomplish that. And the next fire truck is one that they need 2 years later at $325,000 a year, and then another one planned, that third truck down, for starting at $350,000 in 2030. These are the stormwater projects for the 5 years, 2026 through 30, $6.3 million. I won't go down and read all these projects, but Just, take time and look at them, but. These are the streets, brick and paved. The ones highlighted are the brick streets. This is the 5 years, of course, and we've got 5.2 million of street projects over the 5 years at 5.2 million. And we didn't have the 5 years for the sidewalk projects, but this is what we had for 2026, the $400,000 worth of sidewalk project. I threw this slide and I had it on another presentation to the board, but just try to compare. In the yellow on the far right is what we've usually budgeted for like stormwater projects, $400,000 a year. Street project, $150,000 a year. Sidewalk projects, $200,000 a year. Basically on our, what I call pay-as-you-go method. Then under 2026, I got highlighted the projects we just mentioned. So 2.3 million for stormwater, streets 3.2 million, sidewalks 400,000. Just trying to show you the difference between, with the financing, we're able to do more projects. And then over the 5 years for 26 through 30, you'll see the 6.2 million for stormwater, the 5.2 million for street projects, and 2 million for sidewalk project. The financing we've been talking about, these are the projects that we've been talking about financing. We've got the fire station 70 construction, 6 million. Craig Park Seawall construction, phase 1, 1.6 million. The stormwater projects, 3.5 million. Golf course clubhouse, 4.2 million. And Beckett Bridge utilities, 4 million. And sort of notated with letter A there is, when we do the financing, it makes, funds available for stormwater and street projects and other infrastructure projects that may come up, which may be Craig Park Seawall construction phase 2 and the Bayou dredging. With the stormwater financing, we're also able to, we're doing with the rate study, if we keep the capital projects in the stormwater plan, but we don't have the financing, the monthly increase to the residents could be almost $6 per month to try to do those capital projects. But with the financing, the monthly increase per resident would be $2.50.
Much better.
Pardon me?
Much better.
Yeah, much better. That was what I recall. I was going to ask you this, but you brought it up. The main reason that we're considering doing the financing in the first place is A, to get the projects done earlier, but B, also to kind of spread it out so that there's not so much impact. Because if we paid as we go, that's where the $6 a month comes
That would
in,
be, to do all those stormwater capital projects, keep them in the budget, it would require a $6 increase to the average, single-family residential home.
Right, and then financing it's just the $2.50.
Right.
So that's sort of the incentive, I think, for...
The finance, yes. The $2.50, yes.
Yeah.
Golf course, it is fortunately in a solid position. They've got over $1 million in reserves, but not enough to pay for the new clubhouse outright. So we've always talked about financing for that. But they are, with their revenues and expenses the way they are able to handle the debt service, which would be about $490,000 a year. And then the last item was the Beckett Bridge utilities. It's mandated by the county, but it seems like it keeps getting pushed back from when we hear it's going to be done. So the financing, we're still at 19.3 million of financing, but we might be alternating another 4 million. Instead of Beckett Bridge utilities, in the budget is another 4 million to accomplish some of the public services. They got electrical plant they need to do, about a $5 million project. They want to do more water lines. They got some more clean water lines in the city. So it might be that instead of the 4 million for Beckett Bridge utilities, if a more immediate concern might be the 4 million for the electrical projects and the new water wells and the new water lines. It was talked about that, yes, we borrow money, it costs interest. So $19.3 million at 4% interest, 4% interest over the 10 years comes to $4.3 million of interest. What I did was we talked about versus going on the pay as you go and the projects increase in cost if you wait. But what I did is I go, with the financing, what is the cost difference? And what I did is that the cost construction index is 3.83%. I'm sorry, I got it from our consultant that does the rate study.
Is that that was a per year increase of
Yes,
3.8?
per year.
Yeah, that they estimate? Okay.
Yes. And what I did, okay, maybe if we're pay-as-you-go, we're able to do $2 million of projects a year for the 10 years, and then with the construction cost index of 3.83%. And what it basically came to is with the pay-as-you-go, we got $1 million. So if we go ahead and do the project, I'm sorry, I'm confusing my words there. If we go ahead and do the projects now, we're going to save almost $1 million based on the inflation cost of the 5.2, almost 5.3 million there.
Right.
I sort of, that's based on the construction cost index. What I did also, I was just curious, because I know some stormwater projects have been on a list. And I found 6 of the same exact projects from 10 years ago. They total 2.5 million. Now in the rate study plan, they're close to 15 million for these same 6 projects. So they're going up almost 12.5 million for these same 6 projects that were budgeted 10 years ago that hadn't been done to now. So I thought that was sort of interesting. Getting away from capital, so we go to the salary increases. The police and fire union increases, their third and final year of their 3-year contract is costing $470,000. The general employees pay increase per the pay plan is 6.79%, or almost 1.2 million. New positions in the budget, some funded for the full year, is a yard waste operator out of the sanitation fund, a code enforcement supervisor part-time, a building department tech, we've got one already. They want to move her from temporary part-time to full-time. And to try to watch the money in the first year, we're doing half-year funding for an IT specialist, a police dispatcher, and an HR admin person part-time. Let's say funded halfway for half year. Well, they'll go hire the person starting April 1st. So for the first year, we're trying to save some money on getting those positions. This is a total city budget, the 120 million, but just the revenues. And highlighted are the big increases of 5.8 million, which is the public services water and sewer electric grant that they're getting for 2 million. The Craig Park seawall phase 1 construction, 2 million, and there's a sustainability grant for 400,000. Charges for services highlighted as a $1.9 million increase, and the majority is for the enterprise funds, basically the rate increases for water, sewer, stormwater, and sanitation. Miscellaneous, an increase of 3 million, and that is the PFAS settlement that they got in the water and sewer fund settlement there. And then, of course, the loan proceeds. So we've got an increase of 19.3 million for going out for a loan to do these capital projects. And then down below is 3.6 million, but that's mostly for using the reserve money from the CRA for the projects, mostly Orange Street construction, which is coming in at 2.5 million being charged out of the CRA. A little bit on the general fund. Highlights, we've maintained the millage rate of 5.37. You might already know this stuff. Property tax value increased 4.07%. We funded the police and fire union contracts, their 3rd and final year. We funded the police and fire actuary requirements and funded the general employees pay study. I threw this in there, I think, for a previous presentation, but they always like to compare us to the other full-size cities in the county with a population greater than 20,000. We're still the lowest of the 5 at 5.37 millage rate. I skip a slide? No. Some other additions to the budget. I know the city manager was trying to get in some more marketing in the budget. They funded some economic development down at the sponge docks, and there's additional money for training of employees. And the general fund numbers, as you can see, it's basically highlighted. It's a salary increase of 1.7 million. Operating went down. That's where when we first worked, I probably mentioned to you back in May that we were working with the budget. We didn't know how much, if we're going to have a property tax increase, if at all. So departments went in and actually cut about, I think about almost 800,000 of operating out of their budgets. So instead of a $600,000 increase in operating, we had a $200,000 decrease in operating. And down below it just says, of course, general fund is 73.5% personnel costs. The revenues in the general fund, highlighted there to 596,000, that's the 4.07%. That's what it brought us for an increase in the property tax revenue. And charges for services, 570,000. That is mostly, we got, most of it is, I budgeted on the low side last year, but we got a new fire unit that the fire county is firing our fire department. So I was on the low side on the budget last year, which works out really good in this fiscal year for our actuals in 2025, but also for budgeting for 2026. I had this slide in another presentation too. I just thought it was interesting, but that's me with numbers. But what it's just trying to show is over the past 5 years, what's the increase in the budget over the last 5 years? So in 2022, the budget went up, $1,295,000, which is 4.84%. It jumped up to $2.9 million in 2023, or 10.65%. And in 24, a $2.1 million increase. And then in 2025, $2.7 million increase. And then this year, we're, well, at the lowest of those 5 years at 4.06% increase. And this is my last slide, just to update you. The next is the first public hearing on September 3rd, and then the second and final public hearing on September 17th. And on the 18th, I'm going on vacation. No place, no vacations planned. Yeah.
Questions?
Okay, so just one, because we were talking about the financing a bit. So how I'm kind of thinking about it is, why are we doing the financing? So you kind of, it's a way to sort of structure, we know what projects we need to get done over the next 10 years. And, you have the numbers and the estimates. If we do it one way, with the pay-as-you-go way, you've kind of got that risk that inflation would kind of eat up the budget, meaning we could kind of end up paying more in the long run if we did pay-as-we-go. But if we finance, we could maybe get things done sooner, kind of smooth out those payments and not have that inflation risk that's estimated by, you said who provided the estimate?
The 3.83% is a construction cost index from our rate consultant that's doing our revenue studies for stormwater and water and sewer.
Yeah, even if it was lower than that, it seems like it still makes sense to do the financing.
Yeah, if they want to get these projects done, yes, we would save some money on the cost-wise there.
Yeah. I think that was it for me. Everything else we kind of talked about, nothing seems new from prior discussion.
You indicated in the budget the pay thing is not finalized yet. When is that anticipated to be finalized?
It's coming Tuesday, August 26th.
Okay.
Like we just had a study lot long ago, though. This most recent one, what was the driver of doing that one?
This pay study? We never went out to a third party to do it. It's always been internal.
Okay, and we piggybacked off Dunedin's study a few years ago, right?
No, we went out to bid ourselves
okay.
on this vendor.
Dunedin had done one.
Vendor. Dunedin did do one, but a different vendor.
Okay.
Were you happy with the vendor and the process that they went through?
Yes, from what I haven't been totally involved in it. From what I had, they've been very helpful.
Okay.
There were some questions that came up about, we didn't talk about the pay study because it wasn't out yet at our last meeting. But at one of the budget meetings, they were talking about the pay study. And one of the commissioners had brought up that there was an original I don't know what to call it.
There was a first draft.
A first draft, okay.
Right.
And then there was a second draft which changed upper managements to be higher and some of the lower people to be lower. And I was just wondering, what was that all about? Because that's bringing up a lot of questions, especially online.
I really wasn't involved, but I know they were trying to make corrections to the dates, say somebody, their hire dates. So when they're in that position or got that new position, that was based on how many years of, I thought I saw Bob. He worked on it more than me, but the compression on the issue and we had to change some dates there when they got hired to the correct dates.
And also the definition of what the actual job was.
Right.
Needed some correction, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So normally there's a lot of tweaks that go into, what the consultant got in to try to correct them.
Okay. Yeah, I really didn't understand what he was talking about, the difference between the two. Just bring it up.
I think you might have found some of the lower people might have gone up higher, but
Well, we ended up with 5%, right?
well, we're doing the minimum COLA.
What did we end up with at that meeting? Because I'm confused about
Well,
that.
the COLA originally was 3%. The minimum, it's been raised to 5% now. So the minimum somebody will get will be 5% increase.
Okay. Across the board, everybody.
Yes.
And what's the basis for that? Because COLA at 3 seems more reasonable right now as opposed to 5. Is that just any data behind that, or just that's what we've decided?
No real data, just to try to bring the employees up to
Yeah.
where they should be.
Are we having a lot of attrition, or are people leaving for higher salaries?
I've seen a lot of them
becoming a
stay
concern.
because I don't have vacant positions so I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I certainly want everybody to be compensated fairly, but I know in the past few years, we've given fair and substantial increases, and, that just compounds every year. So I'm just wondering, is there going to be a slowing down of this?
Are we caught up?
Yeah, are we finally caught up?
Well, I think, the previous city manager was trying to do that over the
Yes.
years, but with his own internal studies. But
Right.
Trying to especially this lower salaries, bringing them up and getting up to that minimum wage, which I think we're over that now.
Yeah. So do we have a policy or a standard of how often we do these studies? The compensation studies, or?
I think that's been mentioned, of trying to maybe every 3 years, try to do a study.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I'm sure it's an expensive study.
I'm sorry, that's the next.
I mean, is it it's an expensive process to go through, right? Or was it not too bad?
Really, it wasn't too bad. It was,
Okay.
It was,
yeah.
I think, about $40,000 for it.
Okay, I don't know why I thought it would be more than that.
And then as far as the loan goes, I'm like all for it. I back it 100%. But I do have questions about the money that's been allocated in the budget that would be moved to underfinancing, then what that freed up money is going for.
Well, you're able to do more of the street projects, the stormwater projects. We're also, on the one slide,
Is there a list of already decided what we're going to do with that
yes,
freed up money?
yes.
And that's available?
Yes, and when you do a loan, per the IRS, you have to spend the money within 3 years, or else you might have some arbitrage issues. So yes, it's already planned out over the 3 years. And one other thing is I put this back on public safety. We usually lease fire trucks, but if we're able to do the financing, we're able to go ahead and maybe be able to budget cash and reserve for these fire trucks in blue there.
So that would come out of the freed up money that,
Yes,
because of the,
it would make us available to, yes, have that reserve. Instead of going out, like I say, the new fire truck takes 4 years to build. We would get in 2029, 1.6 million. We can reserve it off $400,000 a year. If not, in about 3.5 years, we're going to have to be looking on another lease. But we've been leasing these fire trucks.
because it was like, how much of the money actually is going to go under the financing if it gets approved? That was under the budget. Is it like $10 million? Like, there was $4 million for the golf course clubhouse.
Was it 19 all in, or you mean all the different projects added up to the
Yeah.
total?
The $6 million for the fire station, 70. Craig Park Seawall, 1.6 million. The stormwater projects, 3.5 million. Golf Course Clubhouse, 4.2 million, and Beckett Bridge Utilities, of 4 million.
And out of those, which ones are already in the budget without the loan?
In next year's budget,
Uh-huh.
well, they're in the budget right now with a loan, but if we don't have the financing, I know the stormwater projects will come out, the Golf Course Clubhouse will come out along with Beckett Bridge Utilities.
I guess what I'm trying to ask is, like, the fire station is currently under the budget without the loan. It's
Correct.
budgeted. And so is the golf course. That's like 10 million right there.
Well, we don't have we don't have the money for the clubhouse.
It's not already in the budget?
Golf course is in its own separate fund.
All right.
They don't, it maybe has a little over $1 million in reserves, which is good. They used to be like $1 million in the hole not too long ago, but, so they don't have the money alone in the golf course to be able to pay the whole 4.2 million.
But currently, without the loan being approved, the golf clubhouse is in our budget for 2026.
It's in there, but if we take out the financing, I'm going to be taking out the golf course clubhouse because we're not going to have the money for it. So if the financing is not done, these projects come out.
Is the Craig Street seawall already in the budget, or is that something else we would lose without financing?
Well, the Craig Park CO, we do have budgeted in the 2026, and we did have some reserves for it, but by being able to finance it, we're able to use that money that we're freeing up now for stormwater and street projects.
Yeah, you don't have to sell me on the loan. I'm just wondering how much.
I'm not trying to sell you.
You don't have to sell me on the loan. I'm already sold
I'm
on
just
the
here
loan.
to give you the fact.
I'm trying to figure out in the budget without the loan that, because the loan hasn't been approved yet, right?
Correct.
So currently the budget that we're looking at without including the loan, how much would be freed up for other things? What's the total amount that would be freed up to do other things without the loan, if we got the loan?
Oh, that's what I say, if we have the loan,
Yeah.
yes, we have money that's freed up, not just in 2026, but 2027 and 2028.
And do you know about how much that is that would be freed up by getting this loan?
Roughly about, in the penny fund, about 4.5 million, which can be used for other projects in 26, 27, or 28. Projects coming up, like they've talked about bayou dredging.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard cost of $5 million. We don't have that money, $5 million for bayou dredging.
Mm-hmm.
They got the design work that they're going to be doing, but we don't have the money correct for bayou dredging. Or Craig Park seawall construction phase 2. We don't have any money for that right now either.
I just would like to see something that the plans for the freed up money, because people are concerned about that. People are, I'm out in the world and they're concerned about pet projects being done with the freed up money. So we're taking this loan out and we're going to transfer stuff from the budget to the loan. And now we've got this freed up money. What's going to happen with that?
Well, if we go back to this slide on the stormwater, this is what it's paying for. You've got 6.3 million of stormwater projects that are being freed up. Otherwise, there's probably none being done. Same with the street projects. If we don't have the financing, there's not going to be much we can do of these projects.
Okay. I just want to have answers when people answer.
No, that's okay. Sometimes I call in the penny fund, I've been always sort of been living on the edge. I usually have about 200,000 left, and we've just been doing what we could from year to year. Anything we can't do, we just sort of push it out. Mm-hmm. So the financing does give us the capability of doing these projects now at, a lower cost.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anything else on the budget update?
Oh, thank you. That was comprehensive.
All right, I asked for this second item to be put on here just to maybe get some feedback. I guess it was the July 15th first budget workshop I attended and presented the recommendations that this committee had made. A couple of them which have budget impacts. He already talked about the millage rate. I'm more interested, is there any update, because I wasn't able to attend the follow-up meeting, I was out of town, in terms of the recommendation made for the mayor and salary, and then commission salary increases. Has that been considered at all at this stage?
I think it's been considered, but there's been no firm decision made yet on that.
That's what I'm looking for, is where we stand on the recommendations that we had put forward.
Nothing firm. I have nothing in the budget for it yet.
Okay. Any questions on that?
On the fund balance minimum, I plan on bringing that before the board in September, either September 9th or September 30th. I've got something, number 3, where you said, review the mayor commissioner's salary every 3 years.
Yeah.
I've got something in my budget files. I got a little tickler list to remind me to do that.
Okay.
And as you know, we kept the millage rate at 5.37.
Good enough, thank you. Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right, let's move on to public comments. Any public comments? Board and staff? Next meeting. What date is the September meeting scheduled for?
9/3 and 9/14.
I was wondering, do you want to have a meeting then, or do you want to wait? Or do you
I'm
want?
wondering what the date is in terms of when the budget meetings are.
17th, isn't it?
17th, I believe.
That your, I'll tell you right now.
The 18th? September 18th, the third Thursday?
No,
No,
I want
Thursday.
to know what the meeting dates were, the 3rd and the 7th.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
third and the
I'm
7th.
talking
The
about
public-
when this meeting, or this committee would meet again.
The 18th.
The 18th.
The 18th.
Okay, and one of the other two meetings are what?
I believe it's the 3rd and the 17th.
The 17th would be the final public hearing on the budget and millage rate.
I think we should meet then on the 18th, because I can't meet in October, I'll be out of the country.
So I can't go on vacation. I'm joking.
On the 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should have the September meeting, because that follows those two budget meetings by the commission.
Will you need time to put anything together, or you're good with that? Like you'll have everything?
Might be similar to today's, just updating the numbers probably and where we are at.
Because we could also meet early in November when you're back.
Irene just wanted me to let everybody know Citizens Academy, we still have about 5 slots available. So, and the first one is September 10th.
Are you saying we push back the September meeting?
Well, I guess I'm just wondering, is it useful to have just an update of the numbers on the 18th, or do you want to wait till you're back early in November to have more a thorough update? I have no preference.
In November, it might also be able to give you an update on how the finances are for fiscal year 2026, if that matters anybody. It does matter, but
I have no problem if everybody else thinks waiting till November is fine.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, we'll go for the next meeting in November.
No.
Any future agenda items? All right, seeing none, I'll adjourn at 2:33. Thank you all.
Which day?